Happy New Year, everybody. We're just about ready to go into 2023. A lot of people say, well, what are the best stock trades going into the next year? And the answer is we don't know. However, we do know that over the past 2 or 3 weeks, every major money manager that is managing funds are reviewing what they did last year and what would probably be the best prospects going into 2023. That information will become very clear on Tuesday morning, seeing what sectors are being bought out of the chute. Now, taking a look at why candlestick analysis is so relevant and important and put in, what do I say, the highlight of market analysis. You can see what everybody thought was going to happen as far as a Santa rally. This is why you always let the charts tell you what the charts are doing or what the market is doing. Even more so, I bet you dime to donuts, you can go back to every prognostication of the market experts last year and see what they were projecting for the year. And I bet you won't find a single one that was correct. The market started right about here, ended right about here. Now, if you ever hear a money manager say, just buy and hold long term, you can't time the market, get away from them as fast as possible. Because as you can see, the Japanese rice traders have developed signals and patterns that tell you exactly where you can be buying and where you can be selling. You can time the market. So you can also identify what the nature of the market is. Again, they were probably 100% wrong as far as where the NASDAQ was going to be from here to here. But that doesn't mean you couldn't have made good money in this market by knowing when to be selling, when to be covering shorts, when to be buying and selling. This is not rocket science. The Japanese rice traders have identified the signals that make it quite clear, excuse me, of what's occurring in investor sentiment at the appropriate times of markets being in the overbought or oversold condition. We can identify it much more clearly knowing what a trend's going to do based upon those signals or patterns. This also allows us to figure out what the overall market trend is and what the nature of that market trend is. This is what puts candlestick investors at a great advantage because all we're doing is following what the signals tell us is occurring in investor sentiment. So the nature of the market, as you can see, going into the end of the year, the NASDAQ was pretty much sideways. Didn't have lots of time to go long, didn't have lots of time to go short. However, there are signals that told us exactly when to start shorting and when to cover those short positions. This allows an investor to decide what is the time frame they want to hold. A lot of people say, well, what can we buy for long term? That may not be a good prospect anymore. The reason is there's not too much information. There's a lot of information out there that everybody can make their decisions versus what it was doing 45 years ago, where the only information you could get was from your broker. Now everybody has that same information and everybody can make their decisions based upon that information. So I would guess that if you followed 10 analysts on their predictions of what Amazon's going to do, you'd probably get 10 different opinions. This is why the markets tell you exactly what the market's doing. Observe the obvious. the sell signals at levels everybody else is watching, and that we're still in a downtrend. This allows the candlestick investor to make their own assessment of what's going on with investor sentiment as far as price movement versus listening to any specific analyst that has no more qualifications as far as knowing what the prices are going to do than anybody else. The true indicator of what a price is going to do is the market itself. All we have to do is learn to read what that market is telling us. And when we see signals at levels everybody else is watching, we put it in the terms of observe the obvious, because not only can we see exactly what's happening at levels everybody else is watching, we can see which direction, whether they're going to go through a resistance level or whether they're backing off. We're recommending or suggesting ResMed. Observe the obvious. Look where the bullish engulfing signal occurred, right smack dab on the 50-day moving average. This type of information is what produces much greater probabilities of being in the right trades at the right time. We also can identify pattern breakouts and know what those patterns should reveal once you see a new dynamic coming into investor sentiment. The patterns are high probability trade setups because that's the whole reason we recognize those patterns, is we know what the expected results are based upon 400 years of Japanese rice traders' visual results. The fry pan bottom, the J-hook pattern, this basically gives us much higher probabilities of knowing the direction of a price move. A pattern and the signals. We know what is illustrated in a belt hold signal. They've wiped out a lot of sellers after a fry pan bottom. The probability factor is, as long as they stay above the most resilient trend indicator, the T-line, you're probably still in an uptrend. So candlestick analysis is nothing more than identifying the signals and the probability factors using indicators that have proven themselves as being natural support and resistance levels, such as the T-line. So a candlestick sell signal, a bearish J-hook pattern, it takes all the emotions out of your investment decisions. You just stay short until you see a buy signal and a close above the T-line. So the reason we don't have a lot of recommendations for tomorrow is we want to see what everybody else is buying tomorrow based upon their decisions over the holidays. Want to keep some powder dry. So this coming year, I hope you will join us, because everything built into candlestick analysis is just pure common sense based upon signals and patterns that have worked over hundreds of years and produced high probability, high profit results for the Japanese rice traders. Join us. I think you'll get a lot out of it this year. No matter what trading strategy you're using, if you put candlesticks on your charts, it'll improve your probabilities of good trades. That'll be it. Happy New Year. We'll see you in the chat rooms.